Hey folks, Public Accord coming in with a quick opinion. I wanted to point this out because this was recommended to me on YouTube. I bought the world's largest firework, $600,000, by Mr. Beast. I want to preface this. I have nothing against Mr. Beast. He obviously has a lot of attention to this video with 26 million views, so hopefully it monetized beyond 600 grand, which I have a hard time believing necessarily, or it might take a while at very least. But, more power to him for being able to get this done. What I want to discuss about this is the disparity that exists between my scenario and the scenario of millions of regular Americans versus what happens with sponsored content geared for profit, pumped by investors, and focused, laser focused to where the money is. Regular people don't have that access. My example here, I applied for the Paycheck Protection Program loan after my business was kneecapped by COVID. I did traveling sales, and I'll tell you, the gathering limit of 250 people killed my business. We need crowds of thousands in order to hit the numbers of sales that will make our shows profitable. Yes? If you limit that to hundreds of people viewing us at a time, we will never see the sales that we need to sustain. So I'm trying to make something out of nothing. I see this loan as an opportunity to, get my way through until everything is figured out. And I apply. Now, everything had been going smoothly for a couple weeks. I hadn't heard much from them, but I had an application verification number. And then I get through to them, and someone replies to me saying it would make this quicker if you tell us when you started your business. And there was one other question, maybe the name of the business, something very simple. So I had replied back to the best of my ability and knowledge and interpreted when did you start your business as when did I actually begin doing work. I told him the first weekend that I had been out for a show, although I had begun discussing doing this and basically formalizing starting the business months prior with the regional manager of the company. So I immediately the next day am denied for my loan. I get back to him through email, through call, whatever the case was, and I say, "Why did you do this? What's wrong?" I literally said two things that couldn't possibly be based on what I said. What happened? And he said, "Oh, your cutoff date. There was a cutoff date for when you had to start the business that was just a couple weeks prior to when you said you had done your first show, and I had to deny the application." And I said, "Dude, I formed the business prior to that. You asked me when I started working, or when the business started, or so whatever the case was. The phrasing wasn't clear enough, and I had made a genuine mistake in answering, not when I had initially formed the business." So I tried to make it right. I talked with a guy, and he said there was nothing to be done. No recourse at all. Just you're denied. Sorry. Oops. So I apply again. I get nothing because it gets tied back and seen that I was denied for the previous one. And then a couple weeks later, I try again, and the PPP terms had changed to the point where only agricultural businesses could apply. Now, I do the traveling sales, as I mentioned. I travel and I sell pets. I educate people about them and I put them into good homes. And for that business to work, my umbrella company needs a USDA license. The USDA license is issued by, again, USDA, US Department of Agriculture. So the Department of Agriculture has to sign off on a license for me to be able to do what I do in my business. And you know what they said to me when I applied as an agricultural business? "Sorry, but there's not enough proof that you're an agricultural business." Really? Really? Maybe you should look for our USDA license because it's in there. You just didn't ask for it. Anyway, so that was my story, and I'm sure it's the story of millions of Americans that have been kneecapped by COVID. And now it brings us to this lovely delight for Mr. Beast. I bought the world's largest firework, $600,000. I want to reiterate, say, the mean salary in the United States is somewhere around 30 grand a year. All right. You're literally talking about 20 years of salary for some people in one 5 to 10 minute light show for the sake of a YouTube video and it was probably paid for by sponsors. Again, I didn't watch the video, so I don't know. Maybe Mr. Beast put up this whole 600 grand out of his own pocket. I doubt it. But if he did, more power to him, and more power to any of the sponsors, because it's obviously getting good views in 4 days. It's 26 million. Awesome. But the disparity still exists. One person, for the sake of views, was able to spend over $500,000 putting lights in the sky for minutes, whereas that money would sustain one normal human being in a situation of crisis or emergency, as we are in, at normal capacity for their salary, based on the 30,000 a year example I gave, for 20 freaking years. Come on. There is something afoot here. I know that we're in late stage capitalism, and believe me, I love our capitalist economy and all the good that America brings to people in terms of opportunity and wealth. However, this is nuts. When many someones cannot get the smooth over putty money to sustain through a national disaster, but because of private interest and capitalism, the prospect of setting off a $600,000 firework generates enough interest to, prop up the 600K as a gamble to see if it pays off. Well, that's just insane, guys.